What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. You know, over the past several years, I have seen Lebron on video, or I have read Lebron in articles say some absolutely ridiculous things just to prop up this persistent false narrative that the media or Clutch Sports, the power behind them, want to keep emphasizing to the masses out there. Now, the masses, unfortunately, are not very educated in the history of basketball. And some of the younger LeBron fans out there who really didn't watch a lot of his career, it's getting to a point now where a lot of LeBron fans didn't even watch the Heat years, the Heatle years. They don't even know about the Heat years. So they go by propaganda. And that's why people like myself and Dreamers Pro, the rest of us, you know what I'm saying? That's why we have to be more vigilant than ever before to counter this stuff. Because now it's like they're so shameless now that, and him, obviously, he's so shameless, he doesn't even mind that there's actual audio out there and video evidence of him contradicting the shit he's saying now. But they have so little faith in human intelligence, and sometimes I can't blame them, that they don't give a fuck anymore. They don't care. So now, LeBron James on his latest episode of Mind the Game podcast, which has really devolved into nothing but a counter to, I've always said it before, Mind the Game, he comes across as like, oh, well, this podcast is going to be an uplift of the game. This podcast is going to be, a counter to all the stuff that's out there now. We're going to talk about the X's and O's. No, your podcast is what I thought it was. And what it is basically a counter to what dominates social media, which is us telling the truth about this scammer, about this fraud. See, it's not enough for this narcissist to dominate the TV waves, the TV waves, because TV is starting to lose its grip as far as dominance and social media is taking over. Now he wants to influence his bullshit and spread his bullshit on social media. So look, let me get to the point here, the meat of coconut here. So now this motherfucker's talking about how the bubble was the purest form of basketball. Yes, you heard that correctly. This clown is saying that the bubble was the purest form of basketball. He said this recently on Mind the Game. He said, quote, I agree when a lot of people say it's the purest form of hoops. First of all, who are these people? I don't know nobody who said that. Now, I know it was a larger body of what he was responding to. So Steve Nash must have said some stupid shit too, okay? But I don't know anybody. I've never heard anybody say that the best basketball or the purest form of basketball was the bubble. But anyway, like it was strictly basketball. We all have the ability to do whatever we want in life. We've made a bunch of money. We have all the access. That's gone in the bubble. You can't just, I'm about to go to a restaurant, or I'm about to do this, or I have this. You can't do none of that. Like everything in the bubble was strictly about basketball. Of all my championships I've won, that level of focus, like how long can you maintain your focus in order to get the job done? Because you have all the reasons, if you want to get out of focus because you're so accustomed to a certain lifestyle. Wait a minute, you stupid motherfucker. Wait a minute, man. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. You're not going to pull this bullshit with me. What the fuck are you talking about? First of all, you have to maintain your focus when you have distractions, asshole. That's when you talk about your focus. There was nothing distracting you. So what are you talking about? You're just talking. You don't make any sense. What are you talking about? How is it harder to maintain level of focus when all you do is have time to focus on basketball? You knew we didn't have a social life then. What are you talking about? You fucking imbecile. How can people worship this fucking moron? Am I not mistaken when I recall reports of LeBron being against this whole bubble thing back then? I thought I remember reading that he was against the bubble thing, like that he didn't think it was real basketball if there was no crowd there. It was like scrimmage. That he was against that at first until people in his camp told him, hey, this will be an easy way to get a ring. Not everybody's playing in the bubble. We're going to be the only team that's going to be allowed to practice. At least that's what I've read. I could be wrong in that. They were given all these exemptions that other teams weren't getting. And there was less pressure in the bubble. Hell, if you remember, Rondo was shooting 40% from three. If you know anything about science or how your depth perception is bothered or affected when there's a crowd. When there's a crowd and movement in your eye, in your peripheral vision with the signs and the noise, it takes away from your ability to focus on the rim, right? Which is why role players especially, but players generally shoot better in their home gyms than they do away, right? But with nothing in your back of your depth perception, that's why these guys are having all these 40, 50-point games in the bubble. That's why these teams were scoring like crazy in the bubble. That's why guys who are mediocre three-point shooters were shooting like crazy in the bubble. And that's why LeBron James changed his tune and was all for playing in the bubble, because he felt like it was an easy way for the Lakers to win a championship. Purest form basketball. Are you serious? They literally had digital crowds put in. Or AI, whatever the fuck it was. Nobody respects that ring, and he knows it. Nobody respects it. And I also believe that if the Lakers had somehow lost in that bubble, he'd be singing a different tune. Purest form of basketball. Are you serious? I can't believe he uttered this out of his mouth. You know what's what's a hard thing to do is what Joe Dumars did in the was it the '89 finals? It was either '89 or '90. I sometimes get them mixed up. I think it was the '89 finals when his father died during the NBA finals, and to have to play with that grief and go out there and play to the point where you help lead your team to a championship. And I think that's the finals where his father, I think that's the finals where he won finals MVP. It was either that one or '90. I get them mixed up as far as which one was the one his father passed away in. But I know his father passed around the time of the finals. I think it was '89 though. Or Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas having to play an important basketball game. I think it was an important playoff basketball game The same day he found out his sister passed away in a tragic car accident. And he went out there and dropped 50-some points, only for the shitty-ass Celtics to get rid of this guy when he hurt his hip, show no loyalty whatsoever. And the NBA showed no loyalty to this guy whatsoever. And he was a consummate professional. That type of focus to go out there and perform under those adverse circumstances, or what Michael Jordan did during the 1997 NBA Finals, Game 5, pivotal Game 5. As we all know, if a series is tied 2-2, that Game 5 is very pivotal. And I remember as a Bull fan, I was terrified when I found out that Michael Jordan was deathly ill. But he went out there and had one of the great clutch performances of an athlete in duress. That's the purest form of basketball. This guy is a fucking disgrace and a joke.